What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Red with Red Rebel Gaming, and today I got something super special for you. If I can find my notebook, here it is. So what I wanted to talk about today is what I think. This would basically be like a part 2 to my meta discussion where we talked about Pokemon that would potentially be very, very good, returning Pokemon that is, so you don't have to worry about spoilers. These are all rumored / confirmed returning Pokemon only to Scarlet and Violet. And we talked about, which ones would be really good and which ones would be not so good. So today I built up another tier list, and I'm going to go ahead and pull that up here. So on screen now is the tier list that I came up with for some basically roles that they would play in VGC battles. So to go over the categories and the things that I kept in mind, they are Intimidate. These are all basically just a list of things that roles that Pokemon can play. So we got Intimidate. So we got our Intimidate users right here, as you can see. Redirection. So Follow Me, Rage Powder, Ally Switch, right over here. We got our weather setters, Sun, Rain, Sand, because, hail isn't the most useful weather, just because it has a severe lack of support, to be completely honest. Follow that by speed control. So you got your Tailwind setters, bam. Trick Room users, bam. I suppose you could also throw something like Electro Web users. In that category, you can throw Grimmsnarl in that category. But basically, I just stuck with Tailwind and Trick Room as the main thing, and I feel like Grimmsnarl or Electro Web, something like that, would probably be more of a support role, because he can also set up screens and do other things as well. After that, just some other things to keep in mind. They're not here on the tier list, but something that I'm predicting to be very good in this next upcoming VGC format for Season 1 of Generation 9 is Agro-Terra types plus terrain or item or weather. So to give an example of this, if you give Torkoal a Fire Terra type, let him hold the Charcoal, that is a plus 3 times bonus. Just in itself, add another additional 1.5 bonus for being in the sun, and that eruption is OHKOing everything in its path. Put this shit under Trick Room, and you have yourself one heck of a monster, excuse me. So that's just one example. Okay, a defensive terror type is another thought I have. So setup mons. Essentially things that could be good, but need a little bit of, let's say, persuasion to get there. An example of this is Ice Cube. Ice Cube could be a good setup mon. Paired with some redirection / support from this category, and this thing could be a total beast, as could Camerupt, Avalugg, Copperajah, Electros. All have great potential. Most of them have good setup moves. These are in no particular order on the tier list, by the way. But yeah, so it's just Pokemon like that I feel like have a lot of potential. You give them a defensive Terra type, like give Avalugg like a Steel Terra type, for example. He keeps his Ice Stabs, gets a Stab Gyro Ball, and is a total tank. Like, he doesn't have a lot of... he has some of the same weaknesses as Ice still, but, that Stab Gyro Ball could definitely go a long way. To give one example of that. Another key strategy I can see being very good is stat control / status conditions. So things like Scary Face on the Grimmsnarl, like I mentioned, Charm on Umbreon, or maybe Wigglytuff, something like that. It can be really, really good. Taunt users, support mons like Umbreon, like Wigglytuff, stuff like that with Helping Hand and Heal Pulse. Things like Chansey and Blissey can probably go in that category as well, because they make great support Pokemon. Now, another thing that I thought of is using basically any of these Pokemon on your screen right here with a new Terra type and a new stab. Okay? To give one example of this, I suppose you could do a poison type Barraskewda. Barraskewda gets access to Poison Jab. He's ridiculously fast in the rain, and Poison covers his grass type weakness. So, that gives him an unusual Terra type, a new stab, keeps his water stab. He's insanely fast. Yeah, he's still frail. He's still Barraskewda, but even still, that's something totally unexpected that most players would never see coming. So using them in new and inventive ways, I think pretty much any Pokemon on your screen, and I'm not even done adding to the tier list yet, is definitely going to be just a very useful strategy. The next one I can't really picture here is new Pokemon with differing Terra types. We've seen Fire type Fuecoco. What about a Ghost Terra type Fuecoco? What about a Rock type Fuecoco? I mean, we don't know if he's going to be physical or special. We don't know if he's going to have a terrible move pool or a good move pool. If he's a Ghost type, is he going to share the same type of move pool as Gengar, where he gets access to Thunderbolt, where he gets access to all kinds of different type of attacks, and therefore there's many different ways to play him. And the next one this is kind of a niche thing that could be really fun to mess around with. Not saying this is going to be good, but I think it could be a lot of fun. So you take a normal type Pokemon like, let's say, Persian. And Persian, just as an example, let's say he can learn the move Round. You give him a normal Terra type, so you get 1.5 for Stab, 1.5 for Terra. Round, if you put him next to another Pokemon that is using the move Round, that's an additional 1.5 boost. So we're up to 4.5 off of the base power. 4.5, excuse me. On top of that, you add in the normal gem, if it's in the game. Again, this is, just kind of speculation here. Or you go off of the, what was it? The white scarf or something like that, if that's in the game. We don't know what kind of items we're going to have in the game. But, just speculation. If you can super boost a move like Giga Impact or something like that and give it Stab. So let's, forget Persian. Let's give it to Tauros, something with a little bit higher base attack, or even better yet, let's, where is he? Let's give this to Slacking. Let's say Slacking, because he has the Truant ability, let's say you ability swap with something, right? Give him a new ability, and now you can do a Stab, Normal Terra, Giga Impact with Slacking's ridiculous base attack stat. That's a lot of damage. Not to mention moves like Hyper Voice, get his Stab. There's a lot of potential. I think people who are underselling terrestrialization are just plain wrong, in my personal opinion, just because it makes team building diverse to such an extreme level. It becomes insanely hard to predict what's going to come on people's teams right out of the gate. Everyone's going to be striving to do something new. So you'll never be able to expect it. Being able to predict properly comes from knowing the format, knowing what are the odds of my opponent using this set or that set or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are certain Pokemon that pretty much only do one thing. Example, Torkoal pretty much does one thing all the time. That's set up the sun, use Eruption, maybe not use Yawn and Will-O-Wisp. You may also have a Rest Lum set. You may have a Shell Smash set, something like that. But for the most part, that Eruption Sun is the constant. Okay? With returning Pokemon, there's going to be a lot of constants. But as it stands, we really haven't seen a whole lot of new moves. So I urge you guys, I caution you, do not write off Terrestrialization as being overrated, as some Poketubers have gone so far to say. Not knocking him. You guys might know who I'm talking about. Not knocking the guy. He's a fantastic freaking player. I love his videos a lot. But in my personal opinion, I think writing it off this early before the games have even launched is a huge mistake. Saying that it's overrated there's just no way. Okay? I think much like Dynamax, this is going to flip our thinking on its face, pretty much. We can no longer think the way we have for the past 3 years, entering into competitive battles. Okay, so what I want to do next is I'm going to open up Pokemon Showdown here, and I'm going to give you guys an example, live and in person, of some sets. Okay, now again, this is with Terra types in mind, and I'm going to use unorthodox Pokemon to set this up. So we're going to start off with Torkoal. We're going to make ourselves a Sun team. So for him, we're obviously going to give him, let's go ahead and he has a fair amount of bulk. Let's look at his stats here. He has a fair amount of bulk. His special defense isn't really anything to write home about, but that's okay. So we're going to give him the Drought ability, obviously. And I'm going to go ahead and hook the homeboy up with some leftovers because he is hungry. Torkoal is a very hungry boy, and he is ready to munch it down. Okay, so for a move pool, this is going to be a fire type Torkoal, right? So I'm going to go with Eruption automatically. Okay, we already know he's slow, so obviously this is going to be a slow-based team. But let's see, what kind of coverage do we need? We're weak to fire, we're weak to rock, we're weak to ground, we're weak to... I'm sorry. We're not weak to fire, we're weak to water, rock, ground. And that's it. So let's go ahead and hook ourselves up with some Solar Beam. Seems pretty good to me. An alternative to the Fire Terra type, which is by far nowhere near as good as the Fire Terra type with this particular Pokemon. But if you wanted a defensive Terra type, what the hell? If you wanted a defensive Terra type on Torkoal, I would definitely go with a Grass Terra type. It literally resists all three of Fire's weaknesses. And yeah, I think it would be absolutely fantastic. Eruption, Solar Beam. I do kind of like the idea of throwing Protect on there. And let's go ahead and throw in either Yawn or Will-O-Wisp. Just depends on kind of how you're feeling. Yawn doesn't check accuracy, which makes it great, but it also forces your opponent to wait a turn. So, I'm a tanking. Honestly, I think that Will-O-Wisp is a little bit more valuable in a format like this. It's super unknown. Especially defensive set like this can be super helpful, in my opinion, to have on the team rather than something super duper aggro. Even though we do have that fire type in reserve, if our opponent opens something super threatening, even if it's a resisted hit, with all of those buffs, with that additional ×2 buff. Okay? So you got stab, you got Terra, that's ×2, plus an additional 1.5 for the sun. Okay? Plus Eruption's base power of 150. Okay? Yeah, that's insane. And that's insane. And all we have to do is just support this Pokemon properly. And I might be very well just shooting myself in the foot right now, because this is probably the very first team I'm going to make. If I'm being straight up about it. So the next Pokemon, let me move my microphone over a little bit so I can actually type. So the next Pokemon I want to look at is Jumpluff. Jumpluff has redirection. Jumpluff has chlorophyll. So we're going to hook it up with a focus sash. We're going to give it some support type role here. We're going to give it sleep powder. We're going to give it strength sap. We're going to give it Giga Drain. And we're going to go ahead and hook it up with some toxic. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Not toxic. Derp. Where is our rage powder? Okay. So something along the lines of this. 1 attacking move. 3 not. We have strength sap. Super handy move. I think a bulky support set is perfect for this. So doubled speed in the sun, base 110. That's literally perfect. So to further capitalize on this, we need a Trick Room user, and I think our best bet is probably Slow. Oof. That is a tough choice. I think we're going to go with the Slow King using the Regenerator ability. We're going to go ahead and hook him up with a Mental Herb so that he can withstand taunts, etc. We're going to hook him up with the good old Trick Room. We're going to go with... we want something to inherently counter our weaknesses here while still having access to our stabs. So we don't know if the tutor moves from previous generations are going to be included in these games. It's likely, but not a guarantee. So what I would like to do probably with this guy, at least for the time being, is go with a standard Psychic. Trick Room Psychic. Let's go ahead and go with Scald, because in the sun we're not doing a lot of damage. And we can go ahead and hook him up with Ice Beam. And I think I want to cut my attack investment in favor of special defense investment. Actually, let's do... something along the lines of this. Okay. So as of right now, if we look at this, in terms of our Trick Room setters, we have Bronzong, which we don't want to use because we're putting up the sun and we don't want to make fire moves of our opponents stronger. We have Hatterene, which could be good, but again, some teams I believe are going to be very, very common. So, it's either that or Slow King. I think Slow King gives us a little bit more versatility. Okay, so we have Torkoal, who's solid attacker, has some coverage. We have Jumpluff, which is a support redirection mon. We have Slowking. Probably no need to go super aggressive like this. We could probably do light screen, just to protect us a little bit. Because obviously this is not coming out. This is coming out before Torkoal. So now, assuming we only use Pokemon that are returning, right? What we're missing from this is we want an Intimidate user that fits well within the team. Doesn't add too many weaknesses, but can also capitalize in coverage. So, in terms of the Intimidate users that we have access to, I believe that Salamence is a fantastic choice. We're going to go ahead and we're going to hook him up with a Life Orb, the Intimidate ability, and we're going to go with a let's see, he gets Tailwind? That's interesting. But Tailwind is no real use to us. We also want at least one more Pokemon on this team that can capitalize on the Sun. So we will get to that momentarily. In terms of Salamence, I think based on these stats, a physical set makes the most sense. We have a flying type. So I think what we do here is we make sure we cover our bases. And again, I don't know if the I don't know if a lot of these tutor moves are going to move over. So I don't know. Sure. And, we kind of go something like this. Again, this is not, of course, including new moves. This would probably just be a Dragon Terra type. So, Terra Blast in place of Fly. Could do a Flying Terra type. Something like that. This gives us access to Earthquake and Earthquake immunity to sit next to. It's pretty good. Okay, so next I want a Pokemon that can capitalize on our Fire type. Oops. Capitalize on the Fire type with less weaknesses. Now this, instead of maybe the Torkoal, this is basically only weak to, let's see, Electric would make you get neutral. I mean, this has far fewer weaknesses. And with that said, so I'm going to go Overheat. We can go Thunderbolt, Will-O-Wisp, Volt Switch, and give him an Electric Terra type. Because he keeps his Fire Stab, but with the Electric Terra type and the Levitate ability, he will have no weaknesses at all. That's very, very good. This also covers our Water weakness, which is commonly, which is going to be a problem for Torkoal. This will also cover our Ice weakness, which is commonly carried on Water types, which we also have a resistance to in Slowking. So something along the lines of this, I think, can be very, very strong. So we have our Intimidate user, we have our Speed Control, and Slowking, we have our redirection with Jump Fluff. We have our fill-in with Rodom Heat, which can also capitalize on the sun being up, which is fantastic. So for the final slot of this team, and this is just to give you guys something to work off of, I think, more than anything, the best thing to do at this point is to take a look. Let's see here. So we got a fire type, got a fire electric type. We're okay. Got a dragon flying type, got a water psychic type, and a grass flying type. So we have lots of ice weakness, but we have plenty of coverage for said ice weakness. We have some rock weakness, but we're also covered with water and grass. We have ground covered with water and grass. We have dragon and fairy, but we are covered with our own dragon. As for the fairy type, fire resist fairy. So I think we'll be just fine in those matchups as well. Again, the idea of terastallizing a Torkoal into a fire type, using Eruption at full health with a charcoal attached. Okay. That's 1.2, 1.5 for Drought, 1.5 for Terra, plus 150 base power. That's insane. Okay. So for the final piece of the puzzle, I think the best thing to do, the absolute best thing to do here is to add in another support Pokemon that can also capitalize on the sun being up. So let's look at Lilligant. Okay. She has access to the Chlorophyll ability. Okay. She has access to a lot of really cool things. Let's see. Does she also get access to Rage Power? She does not, but she does get access to Pollen Puff. If we replace Jump Fluff with her and then threw a Slacking on the thing, that would be cool. She can give us access to Grassy Terrain, which can increase the power of Torkoal's non-stab Solar Beam. There's a lot of cool options there. Another option would be just something to capitalize on, really. I'm not the greatest team builder in the world, just so you guys know. Or at least I used to be, but I'm out of practice, so kind of bear with me a little bit. So I'm thinking, okay, we can throw something in that can also capitalize on the sun being up. We can throw something in that can counter weather, like Altaria with the Cloud 9 ability, Golduck with the Cloud 9 ability. I definitely want to stay away from water types as much as I can. Just for the fact that I don't want to have weak water moves when I need to have them. Let's look at Pachirisu. Okay, Pachirisu has let's go with Volt Absorb, why not? And let's take a look at its moves here. So we have solid speed stat, good, decent defenses, dismal HP, but that's okay. So let's look at its item here. Let's just go with a recovery berry. Super Fang. Super Fang. Super Fang, Charm, Follow Me, and Thunder Wave. Sure, why not? Something like this, I feel like could definitely probably work out. You have redirection here. We have attack and we have stat and status condition control with this Pachirisu. Is it the fastest Pokemon in the world? No. Are we playing under Trick Room? Yes. Most of the time. So is it coming in niche situations where it's going to take advantage of priority? Yes. Super Fang is great for setting up damage calculation. So, maybe I'm not setting this up right because I've never used this Pokemon in my life. But my point is, guys, is that these are basically what most players or most competitive players are going to be looking at when they go to build their own teams, myself included. This will obviously be updated when the games launch. Later on this week, I'll have my new Switch OLED. My other one, I sold to my buddy because he didn't have one. And I purchased the special edition one, but it hasn't shipped yet. So as soon as I get that in my hands, I have a capture card. I plan on, uploading Sword and Shield videos up until launch. So, I hope you guys look forward to that. In the meantime, I have some TCG videos I plan on editing and uploading. I have this video, obviously, and a couple other things that I want to do before the games launch, and I become busy trying to do a playthrough, plus all this other kind of stuff. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, comments, or any suggestions, leave them in the comment section down below. Please, subscribe to the channel for more. Hit me up on Discord. You can find me at the Red Rebel Army on Discord. I'm online all the time. You can also hit me up on Twitch at Forever Red Gaming, because that's my old Twitch channel. I'll leave links to all of that in the description down below. So anyway, guys, really appreciate you taking the time to listen to me ramble on. Hope you guys enjoyed me going through and building a team, which I think could definitely be good. Could definitely be adjusted with some new Pokemon, probably. But as a good starting off point, the only questionable thing in my mind is just the Pachirisu, but it never hurts to double up on redirection when you're trying to achieve Trick Room. It's just kind of one of those things. Trick Room has negative priority, never hurts. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great night. Peace.